In the dark silence of space, the alien fleet moved like shadows across the void. Their ships were huge, cold, and alive with strange blue light. The Archons had been watching Earth for years, studying humans like hunters watching prey. Now, they had finally decided it was time to strike. From their command vessel, Commander Zyler looked down at the blue planet below. "Primitive world," he said in his deep, metallic voice. "They will fall before they even understand who we are." His second-in-command nodded. "Their weapons are weak. Their armies fight each other. They are not ready for what comes." But somewhere on Earth, in a secret underground base, humans already knew the aliens were coming. The place was hidden beneath the frozen ice of Antarctica, the Aurora Defense Facility. Only a handful of people in the world even knew it existed. Inside, bright lights flashed as scientists and soldiers worked together, trying to understand the signal they had detected weeks ago, a signal not from Earth. Dr. Lena Hayes, one of the leading scientists, stared at the holographic display in front of her. "It's not just a signal," she said quietly. "It's a countdown." Beside her stood Captain Ryan Cole, a former pilot who had seen too much war. "Countdown to what?" he asked. Lena looked up, her eyes filled with fear. "An invasion." The base filled with noise as alarms began to ring. Satellite images came in, strange objects entering Earth's orbit. They were not meteors. They were ships. Hundreds of them. Ryan clenched his jaw. "So it begins," he said. "We're not ready for this." Lena turned to him, determination burning in her eyes. "Maybe not. But we have something they don't." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then opened a secure door at the far end of the lab. Inside was a long, metallic chamber glowing with red light. Within it stood something, or someone, hidden under layers of armor. "This is Project Helix," she said. "The only weapon humans have that the aliens will never see coming." Ryan stepped closer. The figure inside looked human, but something about it felt different. The air around it seemed to hum with strange energy. "Is that a machine?" Lena shook her head. "No. It's a man. But not just a man. He's something new. Something born from both science and desperation." Before Ryan could ask more, the lights flickered. The alien ships had entered the atmosphere. The invasion had begun. High above the clouds, the Archon fleet unleashed their first wave. Blinding beams of light struck major cities: New York, London, Beijing. The world's defenses were useless. Fighter jets were destroyed before they could even lock targets. On the alien command ship, Commander Zyler watched the destruction unfold. "Pathetic," he said coldly. "Their world will burn before dawn." But as he spoke, one of his officers shouted, "Commander! We're detecting a strange energy reading from the southern pole." Zyler turned sharply. "Show me." The screen displayed a faint red pulse coming from deep beneath the ice. It was growing stronger. "What is that?" No one could answer. Back on Earth, the Aurora facility shook violently as explosions echoed above the surface. Ryan and Lena ran toward the chamber. "We have no choice," Lena said. "We activate him now." Ryan hesitated. "You said he wasn't ready." "He doesn't need to be ready," she said. "He just needs to be awake." She pressed a sequence of commands into the console. The red lights brightened, and the chamber hissed open. Steam poured out. A figure stepped forward, tall, human-shaped, but surrounded by a faint red glow. He opened his eyes. They weren't normal. They burned with light. Ryan stepped back. What are you?" The figure looked at him. His voice was calm, cold, and too steady to be human. "I am Helix." Outside, alien ships hovered above the ice, their weapons charging. Commander Zyler's ship led the attack. But just as the first plasma beam fired, a red flash erupted from the ground. The beam stopped in mid-air, frozen, like time itself had hesitated. Then it turned back, straight at the alien ship. The explosion was blinding. Xyler's ship shook violently. "Impossible," he roared. "What did they do?" From the smoke, Helix rose into the sky, faster than any aircraft, leaving a trail of red fire behind him. He crashed into the nearest alien cruiser and tore through its hull like it was paper. The ship exploded, sending fragments burning into the ice below. Humans around the world saw it, one man fighting an army in the sky. Lena watched from the control room, whispering to herself. "He's not supposed to be able to do that." Ryan looked at her. "What did you make him from?" She didn't answer. She just stared at the red glow spreading across the clouds. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. Commander Xyler leaned forward, rage and confusion in his voice. "Find out what that thing is," he ordered. "And destroy it." But deep down, even he could feel it, something was wrong. This wasn't a weapon built by machines or science. It was something far older. Something the Archons had never seen before. And it was human. Smoke rose high above the white ice fields of Antarctica. Alien ships circled in the clouds, scanning for their target. The red energy pulse had vanished, but the damage was clear. One of their strongest cruisers was gone, destroyed by something they couldn't understand. Commander Xyler stood in silence on his command deck. The screen in front of him replayed the moment his ship had been hit by its own weapon. He clenched his claws in anger. "No human technology can do this," he growled. "No physics can explain it." His science officer spoke nervously. "Commander, the energy signature doesn't match any known weapon. It is alive." "Alive," Xyler repeated. "Yes. It reacts. It adapts. It grows stronger the more energy it absorbs." Xyler turned toward the viewing window. Far below, a red flash streaked across the horizon. "Then we find it," he said coldly. "And we end it." Deep underground, the Aurora Defense Facility was shaking. Ice fell from the ceiling, lights flickered, and every screen showed chaos above the surface. Dr. Lena Hayes was moving quickly through the control room, trying to re-establish communications with Helix. "Signals unstable," one of the technicians said. "We're getting interference from the alien ships." "Keep trying," Lena ordered. "We need to know if he's still alive." Captain Ryan Cole stood by the viewing screen, watching the sky burn red. "Alive," he muttered. "After what I saw, I don't think he's human enough to die." Outside, Helix stood on the icy plain, surrounded by smoke and fire. His armor was cracked in places, glowing red from the inside. His eyes scanned the sky as more alien ships approached. Inside his mind, he heard voices, not human, not alien, but memories that weren't his own. Faces he didn't know. Words that didn't belong to him. "You were made for this." He clenched his fists. The air around him began to vibrate, red energy building again. The first wave of alien drones descended, hundreds of metallic creatures with sharp claws and blue plasma eyes. They moved fast, too fast for human weapons. But Helix wasn't human. The first drone fired a beam. Helix caught it with his bare hand. The energy bent, twisted, then disappeared. A second later, the beam reappeared behind him, turning into a blast that wiped out a dozen drones at once. From the command ship, Xyler watched the feed in disbelief. "He's reflecting our energy? That's impossible." His science officer trembled. "Commander, it's worse than that. He's learning how our weapons work." Xyler slammed his claws into the console. "Then we stop watching and start fighting. Prepare the Titan." Every alien on the ship froze at the word. The Titan wasn't a ship, it was their strongest biomachine, a creature grown from living metal and powered by a fragment of a dying star. It had destroyed planets before. Minutes later, the sky turned black as something massive entered the atmosphere. It was larger than any mountain, its body covered in moving plates of steel and light. The Titan roared, a sound that shook the air and cracked the ice below. Helix looked up at it, silent and still. For a moment, he almost looked human again, a small figure standing against a god. In the Aurora facility, alarms screamed. "That energy reading, it's off the charts," a technician shouted. Lena's hands trembled on the console. "That's the Titan. The Archons just sent their worst weapon." Ryan turned to her. "Can Helix stop that thing?" Lena didn't answer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He's the only one who might." The Titan opened its mouth, and a beam of blue energy the size of a skyscraper fired toward the ground. Helix didn't move. Instead, he raised his hand. The beam hit him directly. The world went white. For a moment, there was no sound, only blinding light. Then the light turned red. The energy reversed, twisting upward into the sky, surrounding the Titan in a storm of fire. Inside the storm, Helix's voice echoed, calm and steady. "You came to destroy humans. You forgot, we are the ones who survive." The Titan screamed. Its metal skin melted under the red heat. In seconds, the giant creature began to collapse. The explosion that followed could be seen from space. On the alien command ship, systems went dark. Commander Zyler fell to his knees as shockwaves hit them. "Impossible," he whispered. "What kind of weapon is he?" When the light faded, the Titan was gone. The sky was silent again. Helix stood alone among the burning remains, his red glow dimming. He fell to one knee. His breathing slowed. "Too much power," he said softly. "Not stable." Back underground, Lena's console beeped. "We've lost his vitals," the technician said. Lena's eyes filled with tears. "No, no, he can't be gone." Ryan looked at her, confused and angry. "You need to tell me the truth. What did you make him from?" Lena turned slowly. "He's not just a human experiment," she said quietly. "He's part of something older. Something buried deep in our DNA, something waiting to wake up." Ryan frowned. "You're saying Helix isn't the only one?" Lena's silence was the only answer he needed. Above them, the clouds began to move again, slowly, unnaturally. The red light in the sky didn't fade. It grew. Helix's body was gone. But something remained, something still alive in the light. And the aliens, for the first time in history, were afraid. The world was quiet after the battle. For the first time in days, the skies above Earth were clear. Cities were broken, the oceans burned, and millions watched the strange red light fading above Antarctica. People didn't know what they had seen. Some said it was a meteor. Others said it was a god. But inside the Aurora Defense Facility, no one was celebrating. Dr. Lena Hayes stood over a dark screen showing static. Her hands were shaking. "No signal," she said softly. "He's gone." Captain Ryan Cole stared at the empty feed. "After what he did. I don't believe that. No one just disappears like that." Lena turned to him, her eyes tired but filled with fear. "You don't understand. Helix wasn't meant to last. His energy was unstable. He burned brighter than he should have." Ryan frowned. "You built him to die." She looked away. "I built him to protect." Above them, the world's governments were trying to recover. Communication lines were broken. Satellites had been destroyed. No one had answers, only questions about the red storm that had destroyed the alien fleet. But far beyond Earth's orbit, the Archon mothership was still alive. It drifted in silence, its hull torn and burning from the explosion. Inside, Commander Zyler sat in the dim light of his command chamber. Half his crew was dead. The rest worked quietly, afraid to speak. Zyler's body was injured, his armor cracked, his face burned by radiation. But his eyes were still cold. "Report," he growled. The surviving science officer spoke weakly. "The Titan is gone. The energy that destroyed it cannot be traced. It vanished after impact." Zyler leaned forward. "And the human weapon?" "We found traces," the officer said. Energy fragments. Organic matter. But no life signs. The commander stared at the holographic map of Earth. A single human destroyed a god engine, he said. If they can make one, they can make more. He stood, limping slightly. We are not retreating. Prepare a ground unit. We find the remains. Whatever that creature was, we will take it apart and learn its secret. Back on Earth, storms swept across the polar ice. The crater where Helix had fallen was miles wide. The air was still glowing faintly red, and strange signals interfered with every satellite. A small human search team was sent to investigate, soldiers, engineers, and scientists from different nations. Among them was Captain Ryan Cole. He had insisted on going himself. As the dropship flew over the crater, Ryan looked out the window. The ice below was melted and black. At the center, there was a hole that went deep into the earth, like something had drilled straight down. What could do that? One of the soldiers asked. Ryan didn't answer. He had a bad feeling. They landed at the edge of the crater and stepped out. The air was cold, but the ground was warm under their boots. Energy readings went wild on their scanners. Dr. Lena Hayes' voice came through the radio from the base. Careful, Ryan. That radiation isn't normal. It's not nuclear, it's organic. He frowned. Organic radiation? That doesn't even make sense. Neither did Helix, she replied quietly. They moved forward, carefully scanning the area. Pieces of alien metal lay everywhere, melted, twisted, fused with something that looked like bone. Then one of the soldiers called out, "Captain, over here." Ryan ran to him and froze. In front of them, half buried in the ice, was a hand, human-shaped, metallic, and still glowing faintly red. Lena's voice came through again. "Ryan, is that?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "It's him." The team began clearing the ice, revealing more of the body. Helix lay there, motionless, armor cracked and burned. But his face looked peaceful, almost human again. As Ryan knelt beside him, his radio crackled, static, then a whisper. "Ryan." He jumped. "Lena, did you hear that?" "Negative," she replied. "We're only receiving your channel." Ryan looked down. Helix's eyes were closed, but the faint red light inside them flickered. "They're coming," the voice said again, soft but clear. Before Ryan could respond, the sky above them darkened. Shadows moved in the clouds, not human aircraft, but alien dropships. "Contact! We've got incoming!" a soldier shouted. Explosions lit up the ice. Plasma fire rained down as the Archons attacked. Ryan's team scattered, returning fire with rifles that did nothing against the alien armor. "Lena, we're under attack," Ryan shouted. "They're here for him." "Get out of there," she screamed. "Now." Ryan turned back to Helix's body. The red glow was spreading again. The air trembled. "Come on, Helix," he muttered. "If you're alive, I could really use you right now." The ice cracked. A pulse of energy knocked everyone off their feet. Helix's eyes opened. The red light was brighter than ever. He rose slowly, the ice melting around him, his armor repairing itself as if it were alive. The aliens stopped firing. They hovered in silence, unsure what they were seeing. Then Helix spoke, his voice deeper, more powerful than before. "You came for my remains. But I'm not done yet." He raised his hand, and the alien dropships began to twist in the air, metal bending like clay. One by one, they exploded in blinding flashes. In orbit, Commander Zyler watched the explosions on his screen. "He's still alive," he said in disbelief. His officer trembled. "Commander, we can't fight that thing. It's beyond any weapon we have." Zyler stared at the red light spreading across the pole. "Then we stop thinking of it as a weapon," he said. "We think of it as a species." Back on Earth, Helix stood at the edge of the crater, staring into the clouds. Ryan approached carefully. "Helix, What are you now? Helix turned his glowing eyes toward him. Not what I was. Not what you made me. Something in between. Ryan swallowed. Are you still on our side? Helix looked up at the dark sky where the alien ships waited. I'm on the side that survives. And with that, he lifted off, disappearing into the storm. Lena's voice came through the radio. Ryan? Is he gone? Ryan looked up at the sky. No, he said softly. He's just getting started. Far above Earth, the stars flickered red for a moment, as if something ancient had awakened. Dark clouds hung over the Earth for days. Every satellite showed strange red storms circling the poles, growing stronger every hour. The world's governments were silent. The internet was full of rumors. Some said an alien god was awakening under the ice, others said it was the end of the world. But deep below the surface, inside the damaged Aurora Defense Facility, Dr. Lena Hayes hadn't slept for 2 days. Her lab was filled with screens showing strange energy readings from the atmosphere. Every hour, the signal was getting stronger, and she knew exactly what it meant. He's changing, she whispered. Helix isn't just alive, he's evolving. Captain Ryan Cole entered the room, his uniform torn and dirty from the last mission. You mean he's becoming stronger? Lena looked at him, her eyes full of worry. Not stronger. Different. The energy inside him, it's not human anymore. It's rewriting itself. Ryan frowned. Then what is he becoming? She hesitated before answering. Something new. Far above them, Helix floated in the sky, his body surrounded by faint red light. He was silent, motionless, as the storm twisted around him. Inside his mind, memories clashed, human thoughts mixing with something far older. Voices whispered in languages he didn't know. You are not the first. You are the awakening. He opened his eyes. The world below him was small, cities shining like stars in the dark. For the first time, he could feel every heartbeat on the planet, every movement, every sound. He was connected to all of it. And deep inside that noise, he felt something else. Something calling to him. Helix turned his head toward the stars. The signal was coming from beyond Earth, from the edge of the solar system. A pulse, faint but familiar. He spoke softly to himself. There are more of me. Meanwhile, on the Archon mothership, Commander Zyler stood before a large crystal device. It glowed faintly blue, projecting an image of Helix floating over Earth. Our sensors can't scan through his energy field, said his science officer. He's generating something that interferes with every system, magnetic, quantum, even biological. Zyler studied the image. He's not a weapon, he said quietly. He's a message. Something made by their creators. The officer looked confused. Creators? You mean the humans? No, Zyler said, his eyes narrowing. Someone made the humans. The officer froze. Commander, that's impossible. Zyler turned to him. Is it? The humans developed fast. Too fast. Their DNA holds patterns older than their planet. What if they were built as vessels? What if this Helix is their true purpose? He looked back at the red glow around Earth. We have fought many species, but this one was designed for war. Back in the Aurora facility, Lena finally cracked part of the signal Helix had left behind. She projected it on the main screen. Symbols, patterns, numbers. It wasn't alien or human. It was both. Ryan stepped closer. What is that? It's a code, Lena said. A genetic code. Helix uploaded it into our systems before he left. And look at this pattern here, she zoomed in. It matches human DNA. Exactly. Ryan stared at the screen. You're saying he's human? Lena shook her head slowly. No. I'm saying we're him. Ryan blinked. What? Helix isn't a creation, she said. He's a reactivation. Something buried deep in our genes. He didn't come from us. We came from him. Before Ryan could speak, the entire base shook violently. Alarms blared. Impact detected, a soldier shouted. Lena looked up. They found us. Outside, the night sky lit up with blue fire. The Archon ground troops had landed. Massive walkers moved across the ice, their weapons glowing. Ryan grabbed his rifle. We hold them off. Get that data out of here. Lena nodded and began copying files to a secure drive. But the system froze halfway. They're hacking our servers. The lights went out. For a moment, there was only darkness, then a red glow filled the room. A voice echoed through the speakers. You cannot hide. Lena froze. That's not Zyler's voice. The sound was deep and cold, not human or alien. You have awakened what should have stayed buried. He does not belong to you. He belongs to us. Ryan shouted. Who the hell is this? No answer came. Only static, and then the screens showed Helix, floating above the ice, eyes glowing red. But Lena knew immediately it wasn't live footage. His expression was blank, his movements mechanical. It's not him, she whispered. They're controlling his image. The door exploded inward. Archon soldiers stormed the lab. Ryan opened fire, taking cover behind a console. Lena, go, he yelled. She grabbed the drive and ran, but one of the aliens hit her with a plasma blast. She fell, gasping, the drive still clutched in her hand. Ryan reached her side. Stay with me. She smiled weakly. You have to finish this. Find him. Her hand went limp. Ryan clenched his teeth, fury burning inside him. He took the drive, turned toward the open door, and ran into the icy night. Outside, the Archon troops surrounded the crater. Above them, the clouds split open. A red beam of light fell from the sky, silent but terrifying. The aliens looked up. Their scanners screamed warnings. Energy spike, it's him. Helix descended slowly, his body surrounded by burning mist. His voice echoed across the ice. You touched what was not yours. The ground shook. Every alien weapon stopped working. The machines froze in midair, their power drained. Zyler's voice came through their comms. All units, retreat. Retreat. But it was too late. The red storm exploded outward, consuming everything in a wave of heat and light. When the smoke cleared, only Ryan stood, alive but surrounded by silence. He looked up at the sky, where Helix had vanished again. Somewhere in the distance, Lena's last words echoed in his mind. Find him. And Ryan knew, this wasn't over. Helix wasn't fighting the aliens anymore. He was fighting something older, something hidden in both human and alien blood. And soon, everyone on Earth would learn the truth. The world was changing. Every night, strange red lights appeared in the sky. Satellites lost contact one by one. Electronic signals went silent across continents. People called it the awakening. No one understood what it meant, but everyone could feel that something beyond human was stirring. Captain Ryan Cole hadn't slept in 3 days. He was hiding in a mountain bunker, far from Antarctica, watching endless data scroll across cracked computer screens. The last message from Dr. Lena Hayes still echoed in his mind. Find him. He was trying. But Helix had vanished again. No signal, no energy trail, nothing. Then, suddenly, one of the monitors flickered. Static turned into a symbol, the same strange code Lena had found before. It pulsed faintly red. Ryan leaned closer. That's him, he whispered. The code wasn't random this time. It formed a message, coordinates. Somewhere deep in the Amazon rainforest. Ryan grabbed his gear and set out alone. Thousands of miles away, hidden under the jungle canopy, something ancient waited. Massive stone ruins, covered in vines and strange markings, pulsed faintly with red light. The symbols were the same as those inside Helix's chamber. Helix stood before them, silent, as rain fell around him. His armor was cracked, his body glowing faintly like burning metal cooling down. He had followed the same signal, one that called him here. Inside the ruins, the walls seemed to breathe. Strange machines were fused into stone, not human, not alien, but both. Helix touched one, and it came to life. A voice spoke, soft, echoing from everywhere. "You have awakened the inheritance." Helix looked around. "Who are you?" "We are what made you. What made them. What made the stars of your memory." The air shimmered, and an image appeared, tall beings made of light, neither human nor alien. They looked like living energy, their forms shifting constantly. "You call yourselves human. They call themselves Archon. But you are both our children," the voice said. Helix's eyes glowed brighter. "That's not possible." "It is truth. Long ago, before either race walked the stars, we planted the spark of our kind in many worlds. You were meant to grow together, to remember us. But you turned to war instead." Helix clenched his fists. "Why did you make me?" "Because you forgot. You forgot what you are capable of. You forgot unity. We made you to remind them." Before Helix could speak again, the air trembled. The ground shook violently. Something massive was approaching, something that did not belong to this world. From the sky, a dark shadow descended, the Archon mothership. Commander Xyler had found him. Inside the ship, Xyler stared at the surface through the viewport. "There he is," he growled. "This ends today." He activated a weapon never used before, the Starbreaker, a beam capable of splitting a planet's crust. Fire. The beam fired. It tore through clouds and mountains, a white-hot line of death. But before it could reach the ground, the ruins came alive. Red symbols lit up across miles of jungle. The beam stopped midair, bending upward like it had hit invisible glass. Then it reversed, slicing through the sky straight into the Archon ship. The explosion shook the heavens. Helix stood among the ruins, his red energy pulsing with the rhythm of the ancient light. He whispered, "You protected me." The voice answered softly, "No. You protected yourself. You are the key that connects both sides. The first to awaken." From the burning wreck above, an escape pod fell, crashing nearby. Xyler crawled out, armor scorched, eyes blazing with hatred. "You think you're a god," he spat. "You're just a mistake." Helix looked down at him calmly. "Maybe. But I'm a mistake that fights for life." Xyler raised his weapon, but it melted in his hands. Helix stepped closer. "You wanted to conquer humans. But humans are not weak. They are chaos and creation. We are what you were meant to become." The alien snarled. "Then finish it." Helix's eyes dimmed slightly. "No. Not this time." He turned away, and red light surrounded Xyler. The alien screamed as his armor disintegrated, not into dust, but into streams of energy that vanished into the ruins. Helix watched silently. The rain continued to fall, washing away the smoke. Moments later, Ryan arrived, soaked and breathless. He froze when he saw Helix standing in the ruins, surrounded by light. "Helix, is that really you?" Helix turned, his expression calm, almost human again. "You found me." Ryan stepped closer. "Lena said you were changing. What are you now?" Helix looked up at the sky. "Not human. Not machine. I'm something in between. A bridge." Ryan frowned. "A bridge to what?" Helix's voice grew softer. "To the truth." The ground trembled again, not from the Archons this time, but from deep below. A new light rose from the center of the ruins, golden this time, not red. It spread across the jungle like dawn. "What is that?" Ryan asked. Helix stared at the light. "It's another signal. Another awakening." He looked back at Ryan. "I'm not the only one anymore." The golden light shot upward, forming patterns in the clouds, human-like silhouettes made of energy, glowing brighter every second. Ryan shielded his eyes. Helix, what's happening? Helix smiled faintly. The inheritance. Humanity's real beginning. Then he looked serious. But not everyone will survive it. Ryan stepped forward. Then tell me what to do. Helix placed a hand on his shoulder. Stay human. Remember what that means. Because soon, the world will forget. As he spoke, the light consumed everything, the ruins, the forest, even the rain. When Ryan opened his eyes again, Helix was gone. Only the golden light remained, rising higher into space, carrying a message that would soon be heard across the stars. And far beyond the solar system, in the dark void where no human ship had ever reached, something old and powerful stirred, answering the call. The universe had just remembered humanity. The light that rose from the jungle spread across the world. People everywhere looked up at the sky as golden clouds formed above every city. Power grids failed, phones went silent, and every compass on Earth spun wildly. But there was no fear, at least not at first. The light didn't destroy. It awakened. In London, people began to see visions, strange memories of places they had never been. In Tokyo, the ocean glowed faintly gold. In Africa, the desert sand began to shimmer, forming patterns like ancient symbols. It was as if the entire planet was remembering something it had forgotten. Captain Ryan Cole stood on a cliff overlooking the jungle ruins where Helix had vanished. The forest was glowing softly now, alive in a way it had never been before. Behind him, the small rescue team he had called finally arrived. Soldiers, scientists, pilots, everyone silent, staring at the sky. One of the scientists whispered, "Is this the end of the world?" Ryan shook his head. "No. It's something else." He looked down at the ruins. "It's the beginning." But not everyone saw it that way. Far above Earth, deep in the wreckage of the Archon fleet, a dark shape drifted, an ancient ship, older than any known civilization. Its hull was cracked and covered with symbols similar to the ones in the ruins. Inside, a faint light pulsed, cold, blue, and sharp. It was not Archon technology. It was something beyond them. A voice echoed from the darkness. "The inheritance has begun. The seeds of the makers have awakened." Another voice replied, mechanical and cruel. "Then we purged the world again." The dark ship changed course, heading toward Earth. Back on the planet, Ryan and his team began setting up camp around the ruins. Their instruments went crazy, every reading off the charts. "Captain, the radiation here isn't normal," one of the soldiers said. "It's alive. It's reacting to us." Ryan crouched beside a glowing stone, touching it carefully. It was warm, pulsing softly, almost like a heartbeat. He whispered, "Helix, what did you start?" Suddenly, the ground shook. The golden light dimmed, replaced by shadows moving through the trees. The air grew cold. Ryan raised his weapon. "Eyes up!" Movement. Shapes appeared, not aliens, not humans, but something new. Their bodies shimmered like glass, and their eyes glowed faint blue. They didn't attack, they simply stood there, watching. The scientist beside Ryan gasped. "They look like people." Ryan frowned. "People? They're not." One of the glowing figures stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice was soft, like many voices combined. "Do not fear. We are not your enemies." Ryan kept his weapon ready. "Then what are you?" "We are the echoes," the figure said. "The memory of what came before." He lowered his weapon slightly. "Before what?" "Before your kind and theirs," the echo said, looking up toward the stars. "Before the war that erased us all." Ryan's mind raced. "You mean before humans and the Archons?" The echo nodded slowly. "You were both born from us, from the makers. But the makers are gone. And now, something older than them is coming back." The air began to vibrate with a deep, low hum. Everyone looked up. The sky had turned dark again, but this time not from clouds. Something massive was entering the atmosphere. One of the soldiers shouted, Incoming object, speed unknown. Ryan grabbed his radio. Control, this is Cole. We have visual on. Static. The signal died. Then the object broke through the clouds, a black ship larger than any city, silent and cold. It didn't glow or burn. It simply absorbed light, like a hole in reality. The echoes looked up, their faces filled with sorrow. They have come. Ryan stared. Who are they? The Purge, the echo said. The ancient ones who destroyed the Makers. They come when the inheritance begins, to erase it before it grows. The ship hovered above the forest. A single blue beam shot down, cutting through the trees and striking the ruins. The ground cracked open. Ryan and his team fell as the earth split apart, heat and energy roaring from below. The ruins began to collapse. The echoes turned to Ryan. You must find the bridge. Only it can stop them. What bridge? Where? He shouted. But the echoes were fading, dissolving into dust. He knows, they whispered. The first one. Helix knows. The ground erupted. A massive wave of energy threw Ryan backward. Everything went white. When he opened his eyes again, he was lying on the jungle floor. Smoke rose around him. His team was gone. The ruins were gone. But something else stood in their place, a single pillar of glowing red crystal, humming with power. Inside it, faintly visible, was a figure. Ryan staggered forward, his heart pounding. No way. It was Helix. Frozen inside the crystal, eyes closed, surrounded by veins of golden and red light. Ryan touched the surface. Helix, you said you'd be back. The crystal pulsed once, glowing brighter. Then a voice filled the air, deep, echoing, not from the crystal but from everywhere around him. Ryan, the war has begun. He looked up. In the sky, the black ship's hull opened, revealing thousands of smaller shapes, dark machines descending toward Earth. The Purge had arrived. Ryan took a deep breath and looked back at Helix. You better wake up fast, my friend, he said. Because we're running out of time. The crystal glowed brighter, pulsing faster, like a heartbeat getting stronger. And high above the clouds, the stars flickered again, not gold this time, not red, but blue. The universe itself was reacting. The inheritance had awakened, and now the true war for humanity's future was about to begin. The sky was no longer blue. It was a storm of black and gold, twisting like fire and shadow above the broken earth. Cities burned, oceans boiled, and humanity watched helplessly as the ancient ships of the Purge descended from the void. They were silent, without heat or sound, devouring everything they touched. Every weapon on Earth had failed. Nukes, lasers, plasma, nothing worked. The moment a human weapon fired, its energy vanished, absorbed by the darkness. In the Amazon jungle, Captain Ryan Cole stood before the glowing crystal that held Helix. His clothes were torn, his body burned, but his eyes were alive with determination. Come on, Helix, he whispered. If you ever meant what you said, now's the time. The crystal pulsed faintly. A heartbeat. Then, another. Above them, the black ships opened like flowers of shadow, releasing mechanical drones, millions of them. They swarmed toward the ground, covering the jungle in a wave of silver and darkness. Ryan gripped his rifle, knowing it was useless. Guess it's just you and me, partner. The first drone struck the ground, a humanoid machine with no face, moving fast and silent. Ryan fired anyway, each shot bouncing off harmlessly. The crystal pulsed harder. Red cracks spread across its surface. Ryan ducked behind a rock as the drones surrounded him. The air filled with a low hum, the same sound that came before death. He looked at the crystal one last time. Helix, if you can hear me, humanity needs you. The crystal exploded. A wave of red and gold light shot across the jungle, vaporizing every drone in its path. Ryan covered his face, blinded by the flash. When the light faded, Helix stood in the center of the crater. His armor was no longer red, it shimmered with both gold and crimson, two energies swirling together like fire and sun. His eyes burned with light so bright it reflected in the clouds. Ryan smiled weakly. You sure took your time. Helix turned slowly. His voice was calm but carried a weight that felt ancient. I was listening. To what? Ryan asked. To everything. Helix looked up at the sky, where the black ships hung like holes in reality. They're not here to destroy life. They're here to erase memory. To restart creation. Ryan frowned. Then how do we stop them? Helix's gaze darkened. By remembering. He raised his hands, and the ground shook. Across the world, golden towers of energy rose from the earth, from deserts, oceans, cities. The golden light that had once appeared was returning, stronger than before. Every human felt it, a warmth in their chest, a voice whispering in their mind. It wasn't fear this time. It was power. Helix's voice echoed through the world. The Makers gave us their spark. We are not their slaves. We are their legacy. The black ships began firing, beams of blue light that tore through mountains. But every beam that touched the golden light dissolved instantly. The golden towers connected, forming a web around the earth, a shield made not of metal, but of life itself. Inside the mothership, the purge spoke with one voice, mechanical and cold. The cycle must continue. Life must be reset. Helix looked up. Not this time. He rose into the air, faster than any machine could follow. The sky burned around him as he shot upward, a streak of gold and red. Ryan watched, whispering to himself. Go finish it. Helix reached space in seconds. The massive black ship loomed before him, its surface covered in shifting patterns, like code written in darkness. He spoke into the void. You were the ones who destroyed the Makers. Why? The ship replied in 1,000 voices. Because creation became uncontrollable. Chaos spread. You are that chaos. Helix's eyes blazed. Maybe chaos is what keeps the universe alive. The ship unleashed a storm of blue energy. It swallowed him whole. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, the silence broke. A golden explosion erupted from within the ship, spreading outward like a star being born. One by one, the black ships began to dissolve into light. From the ground, the people of Earth watched the sky turn gold. Ryan shielded his eyes, tears mixing with rain and ash. He's doing it. Lena's old words echoed in his mind. He wasn't made to fight. He was made to awaken. And now, Helix was awakening everything. Inside the golden storm, Helix's body was breaking apart, his energy merging with the very fabric of space. His voice echoed softly through the entire planet. I am not a weapon. I am the memory of what we were, and what we can be again. The light spread farther, reaching the moon, Mars, and beyond. The purged ships vanished into the glow, erased not by force, but by unity, the connection between all living things. When the light finally faded, the sky was clear. No ships. No enemies. Only peace. Ryan stood in the middle of the jungle, surrounded by silence. The air was clean. The ruins were gone. The crystal that once held Helix was just dust now. He looked up at the stars. You did it. Then he noticed something, faint symbols glowing on his hands, the same ones from the ruins. He smiled sadly. Guess you didn't just save us, huh? You changed us. Around the world, people began to notice the same. Small glowing marks on their skin, dreams of red and gold, whispers of forgotten knowledge. Humanity wasn't the same anymore. Helix was gone, but he had left something behind, the spark of what came next. As Ryan walked through the quiet jungle, he looked up one last time. The night sky shimmered, not with stars, but with faint golden lines connecting them, like a great web across the universe. He whispered softly, We're not alone anymore, are we? A gentle voice echoed from somewhere far away. Never were. Ryan smiled, eyes filled with hope and sorrow. Goodbye, Helix. The wind carried his words into the trees. Far beyond Earth, in the deep silence of space, a faint light moved, a spark of red and gold drifting among the stars. It pulsed once, like a heartbeat, before disappearing into the darkness. The war was over. But humanity's true story had just begun.